From the frozen peaks of Italy to the steaming jungles of the Pacific, the soldiers of the 85th Infantry Regiment carried the colors of the United States Army into some of the most demanding battlefields of the 20th century. Known for their grit, adaptability, and courage under fire, they stood as one of the proud fighting elements of the 10th Mountain Division, America's elite mountain warriors. But their story begins long before that. The 85th Infantry Regiment was first constituted on July 31, 1918, during the final months of the First World War. Organized at Camp Shelby, Mississippi, as part of the 18th Infantry Division, the regiment was preparing for deployment to France when the armistice of November 11, 1918, brought the war to a close. Before it could see combat, the regiment was demobilized, and its soldiers returned to civilian life. Though short-lived in the First World War, the name of the 85th Infantry would rise again when the world plunged back into conflict 2 decades later. On June 13, 1942, as the United States built up its wartime army, the 85th Infantry Regiment was reconstituted and activated at Camp Hale, Colorado. This time, it was part of a new and daring experiment. The 10th Mountain Division, a specialized force trained to fight in snow, ice, and rugged mountain terrain. At 9,200 feet above sea level, Camp Hale became the proving ground for a different breed of soldier. The men of the 85th trained with skis, ropes, and ice axes. They learned to fight, march, and survive in freezing temperatures and thin air. Their training pushed them to the limits, scaling cliffs at night, skiing with full packs, and hauling artillery up mountainsides by hand. They became known as the Mountaineers. In late 1944, the regiment deployed to Italy, joining the Allied Fifth Army in the brutal campaign to breach the German Gothic Line, a vast series of fortifications stretching across the northern Apennines. The 85th landed at Naples in December and moved north through snow-covered mountains toward the front. In February 1945, the regiment went into combat for the first time near Mount Belvedere, part of the towering ridgeline anchoring the German defenses. The 85th, alongside its sister regiments, the 86th and 87th, launched a daring night assault up near vertical slopes under cover of darkness. Using ropes, ladders, and sheer determination, they climbed through freezing winds and enemy fire to seize the mountain peaks. The fighting was fierce and personal, grenades, bayonets, and hand-to-hand combat in the dark. When dawn broke, the 85th Infantry Regiment stood atop Mount Belvedere. The impossible had been done. The Germans counterattacked again and again, but the mountaineers held firm. For their valor at Belvedere and nearby Riva Ridge, the 85th Infantry Regiment earned a Presidential Unit Citation, a recognition of extraordinary heroism. The victory broke open the German lines in northern Italy. Through March and April 1945, the 85th pushed relentlessly north, capturing Vergato, Bologna, and countless enemy strongpoints along the way. They fought through minefields, snipers, and artillery fire as they advanced toward the Po Valley. On April 21, 1945, the regiment entered Bologna, ending months of bitter mountain warfare. From there, the 85th continued to pursue retreating German forces until the surrender in early May. When the guns finally fell silent, the 85th Infantry Regiment had proven itself among the most elite units in the U.S. Army. In less than 5 months of combat, it had shattered some of the toughest German defenses in Europe, liberated dozens of towns, and helped end the war in Italy. The regiment suffered more than 980 casualties, including 221 killed in action, but its legacy of courage and endurance was written forever in the snows of the Apennines. After World War II, the regiment was inactivated in November 1945, but the legacy of the 85th lived on in the mountain troops that followed. It was later reactivated in the post-war period, and its lineage was preserved within the 10th Mountain Division, which would go on to serve in Korea, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Today, the spirit of the 85th Infantry Regiment continues in the soldiers who wear the mountain patch, warriors trained to go where others cannot. For more than a century, the 85th Infantry Regiment has stood as a symbol of discipline, resilience, and determination, soldiers who climbed where others faltered, who fought in the harshest terrain on earth, and who never backed down from a challenge. Their motto says it all: fix bayonets. From the mountains of Italy to the high passes of Afghanistan, That spirit endures. They were forged in ice, tested in fire, and remembered in honor. The 85th Infantry Regiment, valor on every front,